No, good. Hey, thanks for sharing, guys, what God's been doing and saying and bringing to your hearts. That's wonderful. Hey, I've been thinking about prayer this week, and just thinking about the amazing gift that it is to us, and thinking about what it means to pray and what a blessing it is to have others praying for you. And I needed it this week. I don't know whether I would be here this morning if it wasn't for the prayers of others for me. You see, now you're expecting a hugely dramatic story, so let me just put you at ease. It's not as bad as it sounds. But on Friday, our daughter Olivia said she wanted a haircut. But she said, I want something a little bit different this time, because usually it's just a trim around the bottom. So I do their hair. I don't have many styles under my belt. In fact, I just take some off the bottom. That's my, or it's this. Those are the two options that you get in our household. And she didn't want this, but she wanted something a little bit different. So she said she wanted some layering. And so we, of course, went to YouTube and searched up a clip on YouTube on an easy layering haircut style, whatever. And so there was a little video, and the easiest cut you'll do, and all this sort of stuff. And so it involved putting her hair into 3 ponytails, one at the front, one in the middle, one at the back. And I got Joe and Olivia combined to do that part, because I'm not as good at that part. And then it says that in the video he's using like terminology. Take your C117 scissors. I'm like, I'll take these scissors. Then we've only got 2 pairs of scissors. So we've got the ones that are they the ones for thinning? What do you call those, Anne? The thinners. They are thinners. So the little scissors that don't cut all the hair, that they just cut some of it. And so we've got those, and then we've got regular scissors. That's the 2 kinds of scissors we've got. So it says take your thinners, and sort of go about halfway and cut through and you do different angles and then trim off the bottom and do that, and then the same for the thing. So anyway, we did that and did it as per the video, and then we hesitantly removed the ponytail, the ponytails, and it drops down, and it looks okay. It looks all right. I don't know whether you've seen her this morning, but it actually it looked all right. It was like, whew, that didn't turn out as bad as it could have. And then Joe said, oh, well, can I have a haircut too? Because it's been a while since I had one. And she said, well, maybe you could do the same layering that you did on Olivia, because it turned out all right. And so, okay, we can do this. We can do this. I mean, we just did it, the same thing, three ponytails. And so I've got the front ponytail there in the front. And I've already done this once now, so I'm basically an expert. So with extreme confidence, I take the scissors and I go about halfway up the ponytail, and I just, in a nice little snip through, and suddenly in my hand, all the hair is sitting in my hand, and I look at the scissors, and of course I'm not using the thinning scissors. I've picked up just the straight scissors, and I've gone and just cut straight through the middle of the front part of her hair. And so at this point, it's basically over for me, I mean, it's over, and it's only through prayer and the grace of God that I'm here this morning, because, what's that? No, I did feasting. I did feasting instead. But I don't think she's quite forgiven me yet. But the murderous glint has gone from her eye, and so resolving conflict. Thank you, Stefan. We'll be here. We'll be here. I hope you specifically cover this topic of what do you do when you cut your wife's hair off. No, we're not the special guests. Thankfully, we did actually manage to sort of rescue it, and it wasn't too bad. Fits in a ponytail so she can hide the damage. Feel free, if you want, to all comment on how beautiful her hair is when you leave, and you might see me back here next week. You never know. But enough of that. Prayer is hugely relational. Prayer is relational because prayer is all about communication. And communication is all about building relationships. When we communicate, whatever that communication is, it's all about wanting to bridge the gap between ourselves and whoever we're communicating with. Whether it's another person, whether it's our spouse, whether it's a group of people, whatever. We are inviting people into some sort of relationship when we communicate. And we can think of this right from the very beginning of all of creation. And God spoke everything into being. And right there, He was inviting all of creation into this relationship with Him. He was communicating His glory and His creativity, but He was communicating it to an audience. He was communicating to build relationship. And whether this is a quote from St. Augustine. Whether we realize it or not, prayer is the encounter of God's thirst with ours. God thirsts that we may thirst for Him. And it's one of those quotes that's incredibly deep, and you sit there and you listen to it, you read it, and you go, and then you go, and then you go, Well, I do anyway. I know I did. But prayer is an invitation into relationship. Language as a form of communication is all about building relationship. And just as there are many types of different language and things like that. We've got formal language, we've got informal language, we've got colloquial language, we've got all these types of things. We've got different, different accents, we've got different languages, we've got all these things. In the same way, there's all sorts of different types of prayer. But they are all about communicating, and they are all about building relationship. And because prayer is relational, it means we don't just do all the talking, it means we stop and listen. Because it is a two-way thing. It's not all one-sided. And we often hear things like, God's not a vending machine. When we overemphasize the coming to God with all our requests and all these things we ask. And I 100% agree with that. But you know what? Do you know what's interesting is asking denotes a certain level of intimacy. We feel most comfortable asking of things from those who are closest to us. If we needed help with something, we're more likely to reach out to our friends and family than to a stranger we saw on the side of the road. If you came over to my house, I would be perfectly happy asking my kids to help me with the dishes, but I probably wouldn't say to you, will you come and help me do the dishes? Unless you want to, in that case, that's fine. Asking denotes a level of intimacy. And it's amazing that we can come to our Heavenly Father and we can ask. and that we can feel like we are safe to ask, and that we're not asking more than He can provide. And now, because prayer is language, you might think that it's all about eloquence. You might know people, you might be one of these people who can just string this beautiful, eloquent prayer together that sounds like it will rock the very foundations of the earth and get God off His throne to listen to every single command. But not all of us are like that. Some of us find it hard to find the words to pray. And a wise person once said this, and I think this is hugely true and hugely important, that it is better to come to God with a heart without words than with words without heart. And that's not saying people who can do eloquent prayers have no heart behind it, but what that's saying is when we communicate, it's all about what is in our heart that we are communicating to God. It's not about the words that come out of our mouths. It's not about how eloquent we can be. We don't convince God by having the correct theological argument. We come before Him as His children. Prayer is a language that comes from the depths of our very souls. And it can also be relational, not just with God, but with those around us. I don't know about you, but it's near on impossible to cling to any form of animosity towards someone else if you are genuinely praying that God will bless them with His utmost blessings. It's really hard to keep clinging on to hate or unforgiveness or anything like that when you are praying for someone. And so prayer can bring us together as well as bringing us together with God. And the other thing that I was thinking about is prayer is a gift. I said this at the start. Prayer is such a gift to us. In 1 Peter 3:12, at the start of it there, it says, "For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears are open to their prayers." Isn't that absolutely remarkable that we have a God whose ears are open to our prayers? This is the creator of the universe. This is the one who holds it all in His hands. He could well have been a God who was completely indifferent to us. And yet He is a God who invites us into intimate relationship through prayer. He hears our prayers. No matter who we are, no matter where we're at in life, no matter where we are in our journey, no matter how we're feeling on the inside, He hears our prayers. Mother Teresa says this: prayer enlarges the heart until it is capable of containing God's gift of Himself. Prayer enlarges the heart until it is capable of containing God's gift of Himself. When we pray, we simply make space in our hearts, in our minds, in our lives for the Spirit of the living God. to be with us. You know, we sung about it this morning. The presence of the Lord with us. It's what our hearts long for because it's what we were created for. And so what we're going to do this morning is take a little page out of Ron's book this morning, and we're not just going to talk about this or think about this. We're going to do prayer this morning. And we're going to do prayer together. And so what I want to encourage, what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of microphones up here. And I want you just to feel like you can come and bring anything in prayer. And then as a church family, we can agree with you in prayer because there is power in prayer. No matter what, no matter where we are this morning, God hears our prayers. And you might have a prayer that you have prayed so many times that you can't even count. Or you might have something sitting in your heart or someone sitting on your heart that you just need to bring to God. And I'd love it if this morning that we could just, in this space of prayer, that just for a moment, we could pretend like we truly believe that our God hears our prayers. And that we truly believe that Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father interceding for us. What if we brought our prayers before our Father and our King with an expectation that He hears and the faith that He intercedes for us and with us? And so you can come, and if you want, you can bring a prayer that you can lead us all in. Or you can just simply say a name, if that's all you've got. If you need healing, bring that request this morning. And we're all just going to join together corporately as a family of believers in relational communication with our God this morning. And I want to be clear this morning that this is not, we're not talking about some, name it and claim it, prosperity gospel type of thing here. None of us here in this room are so naive to believe that God answers every single one of our prayers, because we know He doesn't. And I think the older and wiser we get in Christ, the more we're grateful that He doesn't answer every single one of our prayers. But we put faith in Him. Yes? Certainly, yep. That's absolutely one way of looking at it. And why He says no, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to have some good theological answer as to why some prayers get answered and some don't. I'll leave that for Kerry, who's far wiser and smarter than I am, to cover that topic another time. But you know what? There's plenty about God that we don't understand. But what we do know is He's invited us into this relationship with Him. He didn't need to. He wanted to.